Good evening and welcome to the British Dyslexia Association's webinar broadcast with Microsoft, Empowering Potential. As you will have seen from our opening slides, we have lots to offer here at the BDA, from training, assessment, helpline, conferences and much, much more. So please do go to our website to find out more information. On to tonight's session then. Although the BDA never endorse products, it's always great to link with the experts to find out more. And our presenter this evening is Arran Smith. Arran is a dyslexia and SEND consultant at Microsoft. So a huge thank you to him and the team for joining us this evening, which should be a fantastic session. There will be a chance to ask questions at the end. And so I start to hand over to Arran and say good evening to him. I know Arran has got a poll he'd like to share with us this evening as well, to find out who's listening and to make the session as relevant as we can. So good evening, Arran.
Good evening, Donna.
Hi. So we're going to launch this poll, and I've been told that everybody will be able to see it who's listening. So a big thank you in advance to anybody who's going to give an answer to this. So hopefully it's come up on everybody's screen.
Here I can see people clicking on it. That's good.
Oh, fantastic. Great stuff. Okay, Arran, well, we'll leave you to it, and here's to a great session. We're all getting settled down now, ready to listen.
That's fine. Thank you, Donna. So we'll just say the poll's been closed. That's good. That gives me an understanding of who's actually in the room is probably the best way to describe it. So welcome to this evening's webinar on empowering potential. There's my Twitter handle. If you cannot follow me, if you follow me on Twitter, follow me after the presentation, because it's a bit off-putting when people start tweeting me when I'm talking. So empowering potential is a project that I run. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is just a little bit about Microsoft, so you can understand where we come from as a company. Now, at Microsoft, our mission is to empower every person in every organization on the planet to achieve more. Now, that's a big, bold statement that from a company that you may not think has so much emphasis on accessibility and on dyslexia. Now, and as a company, we do have a huge influence on accessibility, and I'm going to talk about some people. So this person on screen is a lady called Jenny Leigh-Fleury. Jenny Leigh-Fleury is Microsoft's Chief Accessibility Officer. She's a Brit. She's based in Redmond in the USA, near Washington. She's profoundly deaf. So as a Chief Accessibility Officer, her role is to look at strategy and to look at the way that Microsoft deal with accessibility both internally and externally. She is, as I said, profoundly deaf. She's really funny to be with. She's an influence changer within the industry, within most industries. In the UK, we're lucky to have a guy called Hector Mento. Hector is an accessibility evangelist for Microsoft, and he's based in the UK and actually covers UK, Europe and East Asia, and his role is to try and take what Jenny's doing in the US and evangelize it into the UK and into other markets around Europe. Now, another person that you may hear me say is a guy called Mike Tholson. So Mike Tholson is a product manager for OneNote Education, and he's actually probably the main reason why I'm here today. And of course, then you've got me. I have to put a picture of me on there just to scare a few people so you can see me. I prefer to do webinars and radio interviews rather than TV because I haven't got the best looking face, I don't think. But Mike is the reason why I'm here. So you know who I am and a bit more about me. The main thing you want to know is that I am severely dyslexic myself, and I've worked in the field of dyslexia for over 15 years. Now, I love technology. Currently on my desk, I have an iPhone, I have a Lynx tablet, I have an iPad Pro, a brand new iPad Pro actually, a Surface Book, a VoIP phone. I'm just trying to see, I've got another iPhone over there, a keyboard over there. There's stuff all over my desk, which is all related to tech, because I love technology. Now, it is ironic that I'm talking about, I've got Apple devices in front of me and I work for Microsoft. Microsoft's culture has really changed over the past 5 years. We have a CEO called Satya Nadella, and he is all about the device. It's not all about the device, it's all about the customer experience. That is why you'll see now, if you look on an iPad or an iPhone or an Android device, you'll see that Office is everywhere. It's all about giving the right thing to the customer. I got diagnosed when I was age 9, and my analogy to my dyslexia is like going to the dentist. It was then. The feeling of feeling stressed and have anxiety, the feeling of not being worth anything, being silly, being stupid, and that's kind of how dyslexia felt. And good and bad times was definitely over it. I remember in primary school being picked on. I remember going through life, through schooling, thinking that silent reading there was no point to it, because silent reading meant you can't hear anything. So for me, it wasn't really beneficial. It wasn't. I think I counted the tiles. I did get a statement, and I know we call it an education, health and care plan now, but I did get a statement in year 6, 3 weeks after my SATs, which was quite interesting. And I think the biggest change for me at primary school was that the Senko started sitting next to me in the lesson, and not me going into her room. Now, I went to 3 schools, so primary, high and upper. And my high school, I spent most of the time in the vice principal's office, not because I was naughty, more because I wanted to use IT, and I learned how to use PowerPoint. High school, I was told that I would never succeed by a teacher, and I think that I've definitely changed. High school is when things changed, and I really understood what my dyslexia was. So I have succeeded in life. I own 2 companies now. One is called the SEND Group, one is called the LVA Group. I consult for large international companies, including Scanning Pens, Claro Software, Microsoft, Dyslexia Box, Touch Type Read and Spell. I'm an international speaker, and I was able to speak at the Maharashtra Dyslexia Association in India. It's not the best picture I've met. I'm also a specialist consultant at St David's College for Assistive Technology. These 2 people changed my life. Now, there should be a picture there of my mum and dad, but they didn't like, well, my mum didn't like the picture I had of them, so she asked me to remove it. So I still haven't got a picture. And my mum and dad took me to the Leicestershire Dyslexia Association, and we're one of the local groups that are affiliated to the British Dyslexia Association, and I've been going there since I was about 9 years old. We have an after-school workshop, and I went through being a student, being a helper in their computer room, to being a tutor, being a study skills tutor, being the vice chairman, and then chairman. And in 2006, I actually got my BDA Young Achievers Award, and there's a picture of it with the old BDA logo there. And that kind of changed my life a little bit, and that actually led me into volunteering for the BDA and ultimately working for the British Dyslexia Association for 5.5 years before I went independent. Now, one of the things that I have to think about and talk about very briefly is dyslexia. And this picture sums up my dyslexia concept. That girl there gripping the pen really tight, the library, the black and white picture in a library, crunched up and so forth. And dyslexia, of course, is not just about reading or spelling or writing. It's often about the lack of visual blueprints, the inconsistency of words, seeing things differently, and that is something that we have to think about whenever we look at technology. We have to ensure that we get the right technology for the right person. It's not just about getting stuff for one person, because as we know, dyslexia is different in every person. And we also have to think about that positive strengths. We have to remember that dyslexia has loads of positive strengths, that lateral thinking, that big picture thinking outside the box, problem solving, good verbal communication skills, as hopefully you can hear me able to speak at the moment, and actually being able to achieve things. When I worked at the BDA, I will always remember that the previous CEO to the BDA said to me at an event that if there is a problem in the office, or is it a problem that we ever need, the first person I will go to is Arran, because Arran just can problem solve really well. And I will never forget that moment. I remember it very vividly, where it was and how it was, and I'm very proud of that moment, because that really gave me positivity that my dyslexia actually meant something to me. And I'm very proud to be dyslexic, and that's why I'm in this role. So my journey with Microsoft started back in 2016, and this was when I went to the BET show and I saw something called Learning Tools. Now, Learning Tools I'm going to talk more about in a second. It's part of OneNote, which is part of Office 365. I've already mentioned that we have an accessibility evangelist. Now, over this time, over the last few years, more and more support has been given to people with dyslexia. More and more tools have been added, and I'm going to talk about them tools over the next 30 minutes or so. Hit Refresh is an amazing book. It's a book by Satya Nadella, I would get it on Audible, like I did, or other online bookstores if you want to use them, or you can buy it from any bookshop. It's a really good read. It's about technology, but it's also about where Microsoft have been and where they've gone to. So I would definitely recommend it. Now, when we talk about accessibility, we talked about that mission statement. At Microsoft, our mission is to empower every person in the organization on the planet. Accessibility team go a bit further. There's more than 1 billion people in the world with a disability, and there is no limit of what they can achieve when technology reflects the device way they use it. And that's so true. You think of that billion people, you think of that billion people around the world, and that's a very thought of how we think of it. We know that we say there's an estimated 10% of the population in the UK have dyslexia. That's 6.2 million. Add that into the rest of the world, 1 billion people are maybe actually not enough for the whole of disability. And that's really a real thing we have to think about. Now, this is Microsoft's kind of accessibility slide, that accessibility is required across the whole purpose, the whole spectrum. And Microsoft are working on all these areas. So we've got visual, you've got hearing, you've got cognitive, you've got speech, you've got mobility, you've got neurological. Now we're going to mainly concentrate on cognitive areas because that's where dyslexia kind of fits. But we may touch a little bit on hearing, a little bit of speech. But I want to just talk a little very briefly about mobility, because I think this is really positive. So some months ago, Microsoft came out with some amazing news that I found really positive of being part of the Microsoft team, and that is that if most of you are aware that actually Xbox is actually owned by Microsoft. So Microsoft make Xbox, they sell Xbox. Now Xbox has a huge gaming network, but think about them people with physical disabilities. Think about those people that may have been in an accident and have lost a limb, or have been paralyzed, or who have had life-changing accidents, or have a life-changing condition, which means they can't game. Now, for some people, that could be a real downer on their life. So Microsoft went away, and what they did was they created the very first accessibility controller. So this is a bigger controller than a normal Xbox controller, where you can plug accessories in. So lots of people will understand that you can know that people have switches and big joysticks, and maybe they have eye gaze, or they have the ability to use their teeth or tubes or anything they can blow in, or using their eyelids. There's lots of features you can plug in and lots of tools you can add in. But Microsoft went one stage further. They created that product, but they also made the box that it came in accessible. They put ring pulls. So rather than having to break cellophane with a knife, because you need 2 hands to do that, you literally could hook your finger in and pull it with a ring pull. And that to me really shows that accessibility is a big part of it. I mentioned about Satya Nadella, who's the CEO of Microsoft, who I haven't got a picture of, which I probably should have. Yeah, his son has cerebral palsy, and one of his daughters has severe learning difficulties. So Microsoft are big on accessibility from the top down. Even within the education team here in the UK, the Director of Education, Ian Forden, his son has autism. So they are really passionate about accessibility and disability in doing that. So I said we're going to talk a little bit about learning tools. So learning tools is the leveling the playing field. This is where lots of things started, and this is a tool that was designed for dyslexics. It came from the 2015 hackathon. So a hackathon is where people come together, people from across Microsoft come together, and they work on ideas and solutions for a topic. And what they do is they hack it into a Microsoft product. And what they did was they literally put an add-on to OneNote. I'm going to talk about OneNote in a second. And this came out to be, it actually goes through a level of voting via people within Microsoft. So members of the different teams vote on it. And then it goes one step further to a second week where they get a bit more time, and it actually gets decided on if it gets any money to be developed. And that is what Satya did. He actually put money behind it for it to be developed more. So what is OneNote? For those who have never used OneNote before, OneNote is an amazing tool that is probably the hidden gem of Office 365. Now over this talk, I'm going to use some words that may be a bit confusing. So at the end, do ask me some questions. Do drop me an email if you don't understand something, and we can go over it again. But OneNote is part of Office 365, and these are the two things I'm talking about: Office 365 and Windows 10. So OneNote is a digital workbook. It's a digital notebook. Think of a ring binder. Think of how that ring binder looks. And that's basically what OneNote is. It's cloud-based, and it helps you organize yourself. I use it to organize myself, and if we get time, I'll show you my my OneNote and how I use it and how I organize myself. It can also help you organize your student. It has a brilliant feature for schools, for school management. It has a thing called OneNote Classbook, which really enables schools to take technology that one step further. Just on that note, there's a school in Canterbury in the UK that was spending around £30,000 a year on printing and on ink and on paper. They moved to a one-to-one device system, which I know not every school can do, but that means every child had a device. Every teacher had a device, and basically what happened is that their print bill dropped to about £2,000, just because everything was put into OneNote. It's one of these programs that is really useful. It's a collaborative tool, and one of the big things that a lot of dyslexics do is they lose their notes. They lose where they're going to put things. So this means that all their notes are in one place at one time. So me having all these devices around me is actually because I've got notes on this presentation on all of them, because they're all accessible for me. I'm just going to show you a quick video now, and hopefully this will work pretty well. This is a quick video about learning tools, and then I'll talk more about it in a second.
The true purpose of education is to create possibility.
It was a little hard for me. People laugh whenever I read sometimes. Well, they knew how to read, and I didn't. I will never be good at reading. I will probably be held back again. It highlights the words that know where I am. When it's reading, I see the spaces between the words, and it's easier to focus on. The first time I actually could read that book, I was proud of myself. I was very proud of myself. Good job, Jody.
When technology and education come together, possibility becomes reality.
I want to read every book in here.
Now that video still makes me a little bit emotional because I think the music's brilliant on it, but it definitely shows what Microsoft have done. So how does OneNote, learning tools and dyslexia come together? So of course we have learning tools. So learning tools has some features that are part of OneNote, and they are it's called the Immersive Reader. Now, Immersive Reader has text-to-speech, it has synchronized highlighting, it has some visual stress aids, it has some literacy aids. It also has a lot more other features that aren't listed on there that I'm going to talk about. It also has dictation. So this is a game changer when it comes to things. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to open up this here. I'm hopefully going to try and just bring this into the screen here. So what I'm going to do is, you can see that on the screen now, but I just want to show you something. So Microsoft Office has lots of different flavors and lots of different ways of doing it. So you may have seen OneNote 2016, and you may have seen OneNote Windows 10 app, which is this version here. So this is OneNote Windows 10 app, is the one that I'm looking at, which I'm going to show you today. And this is the version which is the most up-to-date version. This is the one that you would see online as well. So it's online, it's on your Windows 10 device, and it's also on your iPad or iPhone or Android phone. So basically, as I said, here's my kind of ring binders, here's my content, and here's my pages, and here's my content. So what I've done here is I've basically got my content, and it's this about some landforms. And the thing that I want to do first, I want to read it. Now, as a dyslexic, there's lots of things. There's a few barriers there for me. So maybe the white and black don't work for me. It's quite bright. It may be that the font is a bit small. They're too close together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the View tab. So go across here, click on View, and just here, straight underneath the view tab is something called Immersive Reader. Now, depending on which update you've got, sometimes it's over here. It will soon appear just here for you when you've got the most up-to-date version, and we'll talk a little bit about updates in a second. So go into the view tab, we have Immersive Reader. Now, straight away, it's going to take me out of that view, and what it's done is it's put me into an immersive view. So this is a view that I can concentrate on and I can listen to it, or I can do a few other things. So the first thing is it's spaced out the words for me. And this is how things, was one of them big things that they did as part of that hackathon, is making that spacing. I can always turn it off. I'll turn it back on again. I can make the font bigger. I can even make the font smaller, but it's set it at quite a nice level. I've got a couple of fonts to play with, and actually, hopefully sometime in this week, we'll find out when more fonts will be coming. We have, of course, here some colours, so we can change the background to a pale yellow, maybe to a blue. Now, these were the colours that were there when Learning Tools first came out. A couple of months ago, we had more colours, so we've got more pastel colours. We can change the colours a bit more. We can have lighter colours. We can have different shades of colours. So that is a really useful tool, I think, for those that may need it. And it's personal preference, of course. But we can do a bit more with it. When I say we've got some literacy aids, we can do syllable division. So straight away here, we've got syllable division. Now, this is an American syllable division, so it may not be, geography is split up into 4, and geography in the UK probably would split up into 3, but it's still syllable division. It's still a starting point. It is. You've got nouns. I can put nouns on. I can turn verbs on. I can turn adjectives on. I can turn adverbs on. Adverbs is new, and for those people that are colorblind, say we put all of them on, you may not be able to read them, but what I can also do is I can put the labels on. So now you know V is a verb, adjectives is ADG is an adjective, N is a noun, but also I could change the color. So because of my background, I might want to change that to purple because it looks a bit better and I can read them all. So this is a real useful tool for primary and for secondary, of course, of being able to actually use this tool. I've got another few features where I can line focus it in to what single line, 3 lines, or a bit of a big paragraph. I can turn it on, and then one of my favorite features here is I can put picture dictionary on. So I can see the pictures now of geography. I can also bring up, say, let's do rivers there and earth. I can see the pictures. I can do single word reading as well, so I can listen to that. Earth. And it reads it out. But what the main feature here is this. If I click the play button here.
The study of Earth's landforms is called physical geography. Landforms can be mountains and valleys.
So as you saw there, we have got synchronized highlighting. So synchronized highlighting, it dulls the background a little bit, makes it really focused, so you can focus your eyes in. Now, synchronized highlighting has been proven to help with reading, so it means you can read along with it, you can hear it. So if you're an auditory learner, it gives you that auditory feedback as well. I have got a couple of voices, so I've got a male voice as well, I've got a female voice that I was using. I can also make it faster, so I can make it really fast, which is a bit funny and maybe a bit silly for some people, but actually there is people that actually do use it. And this is really important, that actually there is people in Microsoft with visual difficulties that actually do read at that speed because they can hear things so much better. And that's a really useful tool. Now, the thing that I didn't say at the very beginning, and something that I'm going to say now, which hopefully people will think, everything that I've just shown you and everything that I'm showing you is free. There is no cost to it at all. You need to either have a Windows 10 device and an Office 365 subscription. So theoretically, if you're buying Office for home or you've got Office as part of your school license, you will have these features. It's all about making sure that they're turned on or making sure they're most up to date. So if you went out tomorrow and bought a Windows 10 device, everything I've shown you up to now is there. You would literally go on, press the Windows key. Here it is here, Windows key, and sorry, I need to do it again. So let me just do that. There it is there. And there, the dark purple one is OneNote, Windows 10 app. And it's called a Windows 10 app, it is. So that's a very beneficial thing. Now, one of the other things that's built into OneNote, and this is part of your Office 365 subscription, so you have to have this for it to be activated, is this button here. So when I said it was a class notebook, if this was the class notebook, it would have a few more features in, more than I've got for collaboration and working with your teacher and working on a project. But theoretically, I could press the dictation button, wait for it to go red. It's now dictating what I'm saying. It got the wrong red, but it's working pretty well. So red is the color, full stop. New line. So there you go, you can see there that I've dictated that at the bottom there. It didn't do everything correctly, but if you were thinking of a word like, say, Constantinople, which I have no idea if that's spelt correctly. Hopefully you can confirm that at the end. But there you go, you can see there that is a really positive way of doing stuff. It is. That's a really useful way of using dictation. Now, I want to just show you a very quick clip of another video, and this is Kane. And I don't want to show you too much of this video, but this is quite interesting just to talk a little bit about this.
I'm Jenny Anderson Johnson.
And Ben Johnson.
We have 3 kids, Alden, Gavin, and Carrick.
My name is Carrick and I'm in 2nd grade. My favorite things in the world is bees, snakes, and gardening.
We definitely knew there was a problem because, you know, he just was not being able to read with us as much as the other kids were.
Sometimes I was embarrassed because I don't know how to read.
He had dyslexia. Initially, it was that kind of feeling of shame that really made me feel sad.
My teacher was like, who wants to read first for the whole entire year? I said, not me.
So you start wondering, you know, what you're doing wrong. And then there's a little bit of panic that sets in.
One day when we were learning, my friend came next to me and said, I know how you can do this. Just click on that button, and it said immersive reader, and I clicked on it, and I was just focused, my eyes were focused into it. And that, or I could tell you a picture.
Lost?
That video is a bit longer than that, but that really gives you that a way that actually a child has used immersive reader and how they found it. So the first video was kind of planned for Microsoft. That second video was actually brought to us as a company, and it's a really good story. The links will be sent to you so you can watch the whole of that video. But of course, I've got a few more things I want to get through, and time is pushing on. So Microsoft Word. Most people that have not heard of OneNote will have heard of Microsoft Word. Now, Microsoft Word is an amazing tool. It's one of these tools that we use on a daily basis. Some of us do. But did you know it has an accessibility checker? This is a tool that allows you to check your work for accessibility questions. It's got a picture in that's labeled correctly? Has it got full stops in the right place? Have you got the right dots in acronyms? Is the acronym correct? Is it in capital letters? Make sure that it's accessible for those that have an additional need to use it. We have in Word Desktop, and this is the desktop version I'm talking about, we have Read Aloud, we have Spell Check Read Aloud, we have Syllable Division and Live Syllable Division. We have some color page changes, so we can change the background color a little bit. We can change some column widths, and of course we have dictation. Now, Word is one of them things that we have to think about that in our classrooms, and also that one of the things that we have to think about is our children or even our adults that may find that having a difference or a disability or even, let's say, dyslexia, that they don't want to tell people. They don't want to look different, so they may not want to have something different. But what inclusive co-authoring allows you in Word is allows you to be in this immersive view. So say let's say me and Donna are doing a piece of work together. We can be both working on our computers in different locations or next to us, as long as we're connected to the internet, and basically that I could be doing it, say, in that bottom corner view, and Donna would be in the normal view. So, but she wouldn't know I'm in that view. She wouldn't see that, but it's helping me to read it, giving me some syllable division, and also some color backgrounds. Now, just hopefully my computer is now playing up. Of course, whenever you do a live session, this did to me yesterday, and PowerPoint doesn't want to work for me. So why PowerPoint doesn't it's saying, I'm going to go into Microsoft Word and just show you a few features. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to make a spelling mistake on geography here while we wait for PowerPoint to come up. So here is geography spelt wrong. Now, one of the things that I didn't be able to show on the screen was actually spell check read aloud. Now, this is my favorite feature. So if you think about when I was at school as a severe dyslexic, the first thing I was told to do, use spell check. So I would press the right mouse button and it would come a list. Now there's only one list on here. There's only one word because our spell check has got a lot better. What our spell check has done is put the word in, and it's put the word typography and layout. Now I can read that because I've read this quite a few times, but if I couldn't read that and I had difficulties reading that, so some words I do.
Geography, similar to topography, layout.
And that's the thing you see. So that is very beneficial. I'll just jump back to my screen because that there is the actual old spell check you would have seen. And then this is the new spell check which I'm talking about now. So let's just bring Microsoft Word back in so we can see it. So I can then change it by knowing that is the right word, and different words have different things. Now let's just talk about dictation. So dictation is always found on the top on the home ribbon. These are called ribbons, by the way, if you've never heard that these things are actually called ribbons, or toolbars some people call them, but they are called ribbons. So on the ribbon here we have the dictation button. Now the difference between dictation in OneNote and in here is this. We actually have an audio cue to know that the dictation is going on. Full stop. New line. New line. Now dictation is using the internet. It is actually learning everything that you're doing. It is, and it's learning your voice very well, and that is really beneficial. So the more people that use it, the more voices it's going to learn. It's not like using other programs where you have to train it. It literally, you put it on and it automatically works. Full stop. So let's turn that off. So when we talk about now the inclusive view, we would go into view, and there's the word learning tools there. So this is going to take me out of my normal editing mode, but I can still edit, so I can still type HE hello. I can do. So that is still beneficial. I can still edit in this, and like I said, we can do it. And I've got a couple of color backgrounds, so a creamy colored and then a high intense color. Like I said, I can change my column widths. I can make it really wide. I can put syllable division in. Now, this is something that I really like, and this is something that teachers can do. This doesn't look impressive when I do it, but BECAUSE. If anyone knows it, it automatically did live syllable division. Now, that doesn't sound impressive, but to me, that's really impressive because that's a hell of a lot of coding to make it do live syllable division. As soon as you type, it's doing that syllable division. So if we are doing syllable division with students to help them break up words, we can now use Word to do it. And of course, we've got read aloud. So now that's quite fast because I was probably playing with it last time I used it, but now let's slow it down. I use the same text just because it's easier. But as you can see there, I've got the synchronization again. I've got the speed that I can change the speed. Got a couple more voices to play with here. So let's try Suzanne. And that's probably about the right speed for me. I'd be happy with that speed. But you can see there that Microsoft Word has got this accessibility feature, and that's really beneficial for a dyslexic, I think. So I want to just talk a little bit about this kind of concept where we've been over. Office Lens is an application. It's an app on an iPhone that also has immersive reader in it. It's a brilliant app. It's a bit hard to demo on a webinar, but it's really useful. We've talked about learning tools. We've talked about dictation. We've talked about read aloud. And we've talked about editor. Now these are all parts of what's in all of these products. At the bottom you can see some of the products there, and I'm going to show you a better chart. But I just want to talk to you a bit about 3 other products, just so you can talk about it and think about them. I'm not going to demo these as such, but I'm going to describe them. So PowerPoint is something we use. So PowerPoint has dictation built into it now, so we can use that. PowerPoint also has an amazing feature called Quick Start. So this is artificial intelligence working really well for us. The hardest thing for a lot of dyslexics is starting that piece of homework. So let's say we're doing a piece of homework on wind farms. Where do I start? How do I get my titles in? I need to do a presentation. I need to do something like, I need to start it. That's the hardest thing. And I remember having them arguments with my mum about starting homework. Quick Start, you type in the topic, say, let's say wind farms. It will then do 25% of the work. And all that does is it brings down pictures and titles and suggestions of what you look for. It does not give the work for you, so it's not a cheat tool. It is one of them tools that helps you start. And it's a really good way, and it's a really useful tool to play with. So if you look on PowerPoint, look across when you click New, it says Quick Start. Sway one of them free Office apps, again, that people don't really know a lot about. This is a web page presentation tool. So it's a web page based tool. It's fully accessible. It also has quick start in it. So fully accessible means that if you share that with anyone with a disability can use it and use any software, any device. So if they've got a braille print, if they've got a braille reader, when they use their fingers on it, it will work in that. Microsoft Teams is going to be big. Microsoft Teams, I should actually add something there, because yesterday was announced that Microsoft Teams has just had immersive reader put into Microsoft Teams, so now that is now accessible. It also has OneNote built into it. It also has all of the Office apps built into it. But Microsoft Teams is really something that if you're in a large school or a large college and you've got multiple disabilities, pan disabilities, you can add support staff. So think of someone with autism who can't communicate very well face-to-face, but can type and text. It's not good with safeguarding and GDPR for them to text using Facebook or WhatsApp. But Teams is fully GDPR compliant. It's safe. It's in your own tenant for your own school. It means that they can then send a message to the teacher. It's fully readable, fully accessible. So a really useful thing. So this is the chart I wanted to show you, and this is where everything is. So you've got across there, across the top, it says read aloud and highlighting synchronization. That is across all of them products. So it's in OneNote Desktop. So that is the one that you would download from Office 365. OneNote Online. If you're a school user of Office 365, that's free. It's free for you to use. Windows 10 app is the one I showed you. OneNote for iPad is built into that. OneNote Online, that's again the online version of Word. OneNote Desktop, which one I showed you. Word for Mac, so that's just arrived. Word for iPad is coming. Word for Outlook, read aloud for Outlook and Outlook Desktop. Now just pause a second and think Outlook Desktop and remember that, and I'll come back to it in a second. Office Lens we mentioned. Edge browser is really interesting. So Edge browser is the E, and I'll just open it up very quickly and just bring it in so you can see it. Let's just make sure that let's just bring a web page up so we can see it. I didn't load one up. So Edge browser looks like this. This is the Edge browser here. bbc.co.uk. Let's just bring the BBC website up. And basically here, if I press the right mouse button on this, it's sorry, that's a link, so it won't do it on that. Let's open the link up. Text here, right mouse button, read aloud. There it is. It's now going to read everything on the page. That is there now. That is read aloud. That reads offline PDFs as well. So you have a PDF, it will read that offline. It will do. So a very useful tool built into Edge. Have a play around with that one. I will just give you a stat on that. So when it was launched, when Read Aloud was launched, no, Microsoft didn't tell anyone. 12 million unique users of Read Aloud in the week of October last year when it first came out. 12 million. That doesn't sound a lot for Microsoft when they have lots of billions of customers, but actually 12 million in this feature was just amazing. You can see there you've got the font spacing we talked about. Syllable division is in lots of places, so it's coming to Edge. Parts of speech, that's where the nouns, adjectives, adverbs, they're coming to Edge. It's coming out to Outlook web access. Focus line is in them. It's coming to more. Dictation, we talked about Word Online, Word Desktop. We showed you on Word Desktop, showed you on Windows 10 app. But at the bottom there, I said it's got their Outlook Desktop. So now think about your environment, think about your workforce, think about the way that you have to work against the law for reasonable adjustments. So if we say a school with 500 kids, statistics say that's 10 dyslexics. 100 staff, that's another 10, that's you've got 50 dyslexic students, you've got 10 dyslexic staff. How do we make sure that we can make a reasonable adjustment? We now make sure that now they can read their emails by reading it using Read Aloud, which is at the top in Outlook Desktop. We also can dictate now in Outlook Desktop. So that means now we have dictation tools and Read Aloud tools without any extra software, no more IT managers stressing out because they've got to install software. All it is updates, and it's there, and it's all free. Everything I spoke about is free. Now I've got a couple of things that I just want to show you, and this is a bit of fun. This is, and this is one of my favorite things. Microsoft Translator is an amazing product. As it says there, it's got 10. You can speak into this. Now you can use this in schools, and you can use this in any environment. Now, what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to end my presentation because I need to start it with subtitles. Now, what happens here is basically that I'm going to now load up subtitles onto my presentation. Now, this is a garage project, so it's not fully live. It's like one of these things where it's partly added into OneNote, so into PowerPoint, and as you can see, it is actually working for me. So that's like quite useful. So at the bottom there, everything that I'm saying is coming up in text. It's coming up in English. It translates into 70 different languages. So this is beneficial mainly for those with hearing difficulties, or people with an additional foreign language. So if you think of a child we get, so I know in Leicester where I live, we have a very multicultural population of different languages, from Hindi to Russian to Polish to English, so lots of different languages there, and so what we want to do is make sure people can read them. So by putting in that KEIP or scanning that barcode, you can actually use the app online on your phone, and that will actually create it in a language. The phone app also, you can dictate in English, and it will then produce text in a different language, and in some languages it will read it out loud. But the other beneficial of this is, so think of the dyslexic. Let's go back to the dyslexic. I'm just going to mute this so it stops talking. So think of the dyslexic. Think of one of the problems that the dyslexics face, and that is forgetting things. So what I can do is, say how I was teaching a class, I had my PowerPoint running. I also ran Translator. It could be a bit distracting for some kids, but it's there. It's useful. But what it's also going to do is this. If I click on these dots, I can click here, Save Transcription. So what I can do is I can save transcription as a Word file. I can go back in and edit it. Because if we were using OneNote, I could drop that transcription into the class notebook. Straight away, that child now has got what I spoke about. So if I said that there was a question, so I may just use it at the end of the classroom and at the end of the lesson and put it on there to say, okay, your homework is this, 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 and this. And it's there, and that now is saved. So that means the transcription is saved. So really beneficial way of doing things. It is a garage project. You just need to look for PowerPoint Translator, and then you'll be able to find it. So again, a really useful thing that you can use for within education. It is. So I'm just going to jump to my final slide and then hand over back to Donna. The whole point of this kind of movement, and more things will be coming over the next academic year, but we want to empower students to do their best work. We want to engage every teacher and every learner, and we want to set a quality and inclusion in every school, and that's really important. Now, one of the things that I want to just mention as well, and I'll just bring this up on a web page, and hopefully I can spell this correctly. EduCATI education, and of course I've spelt it wrong. Education.micro. So education.microsoft. That's what I wanted. This is a brilliant way of getting a CPD. So this is what it looks like here. Let's just bring this up here so you can see it. This is the educator community. It's you can freely register with your Office 365 account or Microsoft account. And there's loads of videos you can watch. You can earn MIE points. If you become an MIE expert, so if you become an MIEE, you could then be picked to represent your country at like places like Singapore, where like 7 people from the UK got to fly to Singapore last year because they completed all these courses and they did really well. So that's just for those that are teachers. I know there's a high percentage of teachers that the poll showed. So that's a really good resource, and I can send that link out as well. So my final slide is to say thank you for listening. There is my email address. There's my Twitter account. Do add me on Twitter. Do follow me on Twitter. There's going to be lots of information coming out. That web address, that tiny URL, is just a feedback form which Donna will send out. So do follow me on Twitter, and people are already doing it, so that's good. Thank you very much for listening, and I'm going to hand back over to Donna, and hopefully you've enjoyed the webinar and I've finished in the right amount of time.
Arran, that was amazing. Thank you so much. And you finished perfectly on time, which is just as well because we've got lots of questions to get through. So, okay, if we just get going then. We've had a question about accessing OneNote. So Gina's saying that during your talk, she'd had a look on her computer basically, and she can't seem to find it. She said, she's got 2016.
Yeah.
So she's saying, I'm seeing learning tools, immersive reader and dictating Word, but not in OneNote. I have 2016, and she's checked all their updates. Is that anything you can help with?
Yeah, so basically what that is that so OneNote 2016 is the version you get with Office with Office 365. It's the desktop version. Long as you've got a Windows 10 device, and I'm just going to end my presentation so it's easy to show you. If you click on the Windows key, there's a little search box. Actually, let me just do this and just see if I can change my screen so it's better, so we can see it on here. So just change my screen because then you can see the search box. So here's the search box, and if I type in OneNote, you'll see then all the differences. And you see how that one there says trusted Microsoft Store app. That is the one that I showed you. That's the one with the most up-to-date version. It is. Now, if you go to your if you've got an Office 365 account, through school, you can get the same version online. So, but what I can do is inside the thing, I'm just going to have to turn things around because my iPad because all of you are following me on Twitter and it's notifying me every time, and I'm looking at it. Sorry, I'm going to just turn some devices off because I can't talk. Sorry, I digress. So basically that's how you would find it. It will only be available on a Windows 10 device. So if you've got Windows 8 or Windows 7, you won't find it. So Windows 10 is that's what you need to look for. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
And Gina, let us know if you've got a part 2 to that question. We'll just scroll through some more then. So, Arran, you spoke about the speech-to-text facility within the system. And you said about accents, and somebody's saying, does this mean then that OneNote is going, or Word or whatever, sorry for my ignorance, but it's going to replace the kind of the other commercial packages of text-to-speech? Are we looking at that situation? Yes, sorry. You know the technology terms better than me. Is it going to replace that? And also, is it better with accents? That's the question.
Okay.
Is it better with accents?
So where we are with it is there's two things. So it depends on the child or the adult of what you're doing. So the answer to your question is that it should work with accents. The reason why it should is because every time someone dictates into it, so if I dictate into it, if Donna, you dictate in, if anyone else dictates into it, it's using artificial intelligence. So it's learning our voice pattern. It's creating a voice pattern, but not personal. It's creating voice patterns across the whole world. So it's being stored centrally and basically machine learning. These are kind of words that we use within the IT industry. They're creating this kind of model of a voice, and that means it's getting accurate. So more accurate. I can never say that word. So when this first came out, when I was speaking, every time I stopped speaking, it used to put a full stop at the end of it, which was really annoying because as a dyslexic, you kind of forget to do things. But actually, now it does pretty well. Now, the commercial packages are local. So you have to train them, and it locally stores your voice. Now, what that means is then it's only available on your device. So it's only available on your device, and it's quite expensive to get it on a network at a school. So theoretically, it is kind of it's changing the world. But if you think outside the box, if you're using Siri on an iPhone, if you're using Google Assist on your Android phone, if you're using Google Home, or using Alexa or Siri on your HomePod, all these devices are using speech to text, because what is happening is you are talking into it, it is milliseconds changing that to text, so then it can then go and search for that feature. So if you say play Lady Gaga, it's looking for it. So actually that technology is already there. We're already using that technology every day. This is now just using it in a different way. It is, and using it in a more productivity way. So in essence, yes, it will. It's a game changer. It's definitely a game changer. And I think but the only thing about it is at the moment, and to be really honest and open, according to JCQ, that cannot be used in an exam, the Microsoft version, for the reason being is it needs the internet to work at the moment. So you would...
Well, that's a good link, Aaron, because we've had a listener say, do we know if JCQ allows the use of Microsoft Reader as an exam? So you're saying not at the moment.
So the only thing that you could get through is Edge browser. So if you had a PDF, you could use Edge browser because that can be used offline. So that will read out in that question, because the first opinion was that if a laptop is connected online, it means the child can cheat, and we're like, well, that's not the reason why we're online. That's not always the same reason why some people may do that, but if it's managed correctly, we could do it. So there is I think within the next 2 years we will see that actually you will be able to use it. You'll probably still have to fill out Form 8. If you want to try, if someone tries and challenges to get use Edge browser to do it, I think that I'd be happy to back them up and say no, it doesn't work. It works offline. So you could use it as a screen reader. But as the JCQ guidelines currently say, any computer-based reader you still need Form 8 filled out, and you really should have it as a standard way of working, because technology, you have to learn the best way to use it for yourself.
Brilliant, thank you. That's really useful. Okay, we've had a couple of people ask about dictation, saying that they can't find it on the system. A lady saying, I can't find dictate on Word. Another one saying, no dictate icon in OneNote. So are you able to show us again?
Okay, let me just change my screen and just show you something. Okay, so where we are is, so this is the small problem with all Microsoft products. It's all down to the way that things are set up. Now, if you are using a device which is being given to you by, let me just take off Learning Tools so it's a little bit less harsh for people. If you've been given a device by an institution, say a school or a college or a university, and it's not your personal device, you may find this more difficult to do. And basically, it has to be done at a higher level, so it has to be done at a school admin level to be set up. In the sense, they need to turn something on to allow you to get the most up-to-date version. What I recommend everyone try and do is they go into File on any Microsoft product, do it on Word, click on Account. And just here it says update options, and in there it says update now. It may say just update now because I've got the most up-to-date version, so it is updated, and this will update it. So this will give an update. Now, if you don't pay on an annual price, if you don't pay annually, or you paid like a one-off when you went to Dixon's, or we don't have Dictionaries anymore. If you went to PC World or Currys or went to Argos to buy it, you may not have the features yet until you get your next subscription. So where we are is that these features are rolling out now as we speak. So they are rolling out now. Just by showing you here, this is my personal business subscription. It's not a Microsoft subscription. So I'm not on an insider program. I'm the same as you. So my colleague in the US was saying, yeah, dictation is amazing, and I had to wait an extra month. I know it's there. I know that it's available in the UK because I've done it the way to know that it's available, but it's all about the updates. And if people have real issues and they can't find it and they've got a school computer, they can also drop me an email and I can tell their IT manager where to find the button they need to click to make sure they get the most up-to-date versions.
Perfect, thank you. We move on, we've got lots. A question about Mac. Can I use the Edge browser on a Mac? Julie was asking.
No, not at the moment. Not at the moment. I don't think it will. I haven't heard anything yet, but I will. I would. The best thing to do is just Bing that and I say Bing because that's the Microsoft search engine, so you can Google it or Bing it. That's an internal joke, don't worry. You can just search for it online and see if you can find it. You can do. I wouldn't say it will. It may do. It may be coming to Mac. I've not tried to download it. It is available on iOS, so it is available on iPad. So I do have Edge on my iPad. So I think it may come to Mac. Thinking about it, but I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. And I think from what you said this evening, Aaron, everything's moving so quickly anyway that, you know, although it's not at the minute, it probably is sometime soon, I guess.
If you think back to that slide when I said I saw this in 2016, we're only on 2018. That's 2 years, and basically we've gone from having it in as a plugin to this version, to be in this version, and this version. And this, all these features there. So within 2 years. So what will happen is what we'll see this year over this academic year, we'll see a slowdown on new things coming. So we may see the odd new thing coming, and I think there will be but what we'll see is add-ons to things. So we may see more fonts, we may see that the features come to more things, because that's the whole point of what Microsoft are trying to do, is they want mobile first. So everything's got to be on every device, so every feature will come to it. And at some point, it has been announced that we'll have a new version of Office next year. So all these features will be more part of that new Office interface when it comes.
Fantastic. And I think connected with what you've just said is, Andrew is asking, is there any recommended software around handwriting? So anything you're aware of around handwriting, helping with those skills?
Okay, so let's just show you, let me see if I can do this very quickly. Swap back to this screen. So if I go onto this screen here, and I'm just going to open up OneNote 2016. Now, so this is the version of OneNote that kind of is the one with the plugin in, and I'm just going to bring this in here just so you can see it, and I'm just going to make a new page. So in this feature here, now if you've got a touch device, you do have here the feature where you can draw. Now I don't know if it's going to let me draw. Let's see. I use touch. That's what I want to do. So just here, it's actually grayed out because it's not letting me do it. Let me see if I can select it. Oh, I didn't. That's it. So yeah, no. So what it does is it's meant to, and this is because it could be because I haven't used a pen to write it, but this will convert to text. So this link here will convert to text. You've got to have, again, Office 365 has got to be activated, and it might not be working on this one, but theoretically you can do that. Now, there is one other thing you can use. That's for converting handwriting to text. If you're looking at handwriting for to read handwriting, SEEINGAI is an iPad app, an iPhone app. This is Seeing AI here. This is it here. So this app here, it's called Seeing AI. It's by Microsoft. It reads text on automatically. It does facial recognition, but it also has a beta version of reading handwriting. So it will take a picture of handwriting, it will read handwriting out. It also reads out currency as well, so it reads out pounds, dollars and euros. So it actually looks at currency. It's designed for people with visual impairment, but it's got some really good dyslexia features in it. So they're the two things that you could try, depending on which way that question was going.
Yeah, brilliant, thank you. And Andrea's just put through, connected with handwriting, anything about teaching handwriting, or are we at the stage of the things that you've just showed us at the moment? So can we use it to teach handwriting?
So for me, I mentioned about the role I have with St David's College. So the role there is looking at IT, putting technology at the heart of learning. Now they have 60% of their intake have an additional learning need. Majority is dyslexia. Now one of the things that they had a problem with was if they gave everyone a device, what about handwriting? So I said there is a place for handwriting, and that is why we opt for touch devices, because of this feature. So because of the way that if you use OneNote to its full advantage, you can handwrite on it, and you can do it. Now, one of the things you can do is, and this is pushing my memory to the best, to its ability. There it is there. So basically, you can actually import page templates. So you could build, that's a to-do list, but you've got all these templates, and one of these has got text paper. I think I think one of these you can do background yellow or blue, so you can change the background color. But I know you can actually put lines in. So there's an index card size there. That's a pink background, but you can get one. You can have a look online to actually create, find templates for OneNote that have got lines in. So if you want to use lines when you're handwriting on a device, you can do that. Software for handwriting, there isn't a lot out there. It's not out there beyond Microsoft. There isn't a lot out there, but that's probably the best answer I can give.
No, that's brilliant. And Arran, thank you so much, because you know so much, and it's amazing because we're just putting you on the spot here with all these random questions, and time has beaten us. We could go on and on. I think we've got lots of questions, but am I right in thinking if our listeners tonight have got questions, you've shared your email address, you've shared your contact details, are they okay to email you direct? They can also email the BDA, of course.
Drop me an email. Drop me an email. Drop me an email. Send me a Facebook. Send me a Twitter. Send me a tweet, and I can do my best to answer them. I am dyslexic, so I'm not very good at coming back. I want to do one other thing that I want to say to everyone. So
of course.
At this moment in time, I don't know how many. There's quite a few people online, but if any of you want me to come into your school and do that talk, drop me an email. Get in sooner rather than later. My role is to go and talk to people. So I'm going to do all the parent roadshows that BDA are doing. So I'm going to do this talk again, and every update that I get, I will give that update to people. If you are a teacher in a school and you want to go and you want me to come in and talk to your school, I am looking for schools that are willing to do clusters. So like, let's bring a few schools in and talk to lots of teachers. It's all free, so it's no cost to you. All it is provide me with a cup of tea, and long as I've got a projector and I can access your internet, I can do this presentation for you, and I can give you a little bit more about dyslexia. So I do some dyslexia training, which is very basic, just awareness, but then I can do all this stuff that I've just done today for you in the whole school, and get you moving on using Office 365 and using Microsoft as the right way forward. So if you want
that is amazing. Thank you, Arran.
If you want to do that, just drop me an email, and I will send out. I'll give Donna the link to. I'm going to give Donna a link to this app. It's actually this OneNote book, which you'll be able to access online. It has all the copies of all the presentations in. It has. It will have some recordings of webinars I've done previously. It's got a sway in there about accessibility. It's got presentations. That's got the presentation, and that's the old presentation. The new one will be there, but it's also got the links for feedback. If you give me some feedback, use the feedback form, because that's all evidence to show that I've spoke to you, but also evidence to show that we're getting feedback on the product. Because I could probably say now, I'm going to just try one thing, Donna. I'm going to take over a little bit. I apologise.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you all, if you look on your control panel, on where there's a little hand up button, can I ask you to put your hand up if you have never heard of OneNote, of Learning Tools before today? So if you've never heard of it before today, can you put your hand up? It is, and I'm just going to scan down. So if people have heard of it, so if you haven't heard of it, there's a little hands up button on your control panel. If you put it up. So that's quite a lot of hands going up, so that's good. So that's probably about, so if you haven't heard of it, put your hand up. So that's probably about, I would say, probably about 50% of you hadn't heard of it before, which is getting better. So thank you very much. So that's about right. We normally it's about 75% of people that have never heard of it before I do the talk. So that's really good. So
yeah, and that's what it's about. It's about getting the word out and helping our learners and people in the workplace, I think, isn't it? So Okay, we've had lots and lots of thank yous. We will share the recordings for everybody who's listening. It will be free on our website. And also the one notebook that Arran's going to share, we will share it with you guys as well. Arran, I'm just here reading fab session. Thank you. So there's lots of thank yous out there. So all our listeners, please do keep in touch with Arran and of course us here at the BDA. And Arran, I'll just finish by saying a huge thank you to you from the British Dyslexia Association. That we really appreciate you sharing your time and your expertise.
No. That's most appreciated, Donna. It's been brilliant working with you again. So thank you very much, everyone. So and thank you to Kirsty for making sure the technical stuff worked perfect.
All the really important stuff. And we just say good night to everybody then, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Good night.
Take care.
Yeah. Thanks, Arran. Take care.
Yes. Bye-bye. You too. Bye.